Not even so long ago I made this boring ball for the milling machine, and I made it to be able to bore out little cylinders like this one. On the lathe is not an option because my lathe cut this thing in tapers and I would like to have it cylindric. But of course, as always, there is a problem. To hold my part in place I used a V-block, 2 V-blocks in fact, and put it in the vise this way. But because the little piece of pipe is squeezed, it cuts ovals. So it would be nice to find another way to hold my part without squeezing it. And then I came up with a little idea, maybe an angle plate. This is a very nice piece of angle iron. Of course I have to clean it up a bit, but I think it's too long. The height of this thing is 120 millimeters. It's 4 inch and 3/4. So I think if I cut a piece off and make it square, 120, it will work. And if I measure between the T-slots, it would be perfect to put bolts in here. I think that's gonna work. Of course, keeping this all length just to hold a little part like this one, it's a bit pointless. And also I'm gonna try to find some pieces of something to reinforce, welding 2 pieces in here. I think I found something. This is 20 millimeters square, cut at 45 degrees. That could work. Right, let's take the wire brush machine and make some brown dust and cut the piece in 2. Before I do whatever next operation, I think it's maybe a good idea to first drill holes so I can mount it in the T-slot, and I will drill this side and the other side so it will be easier to work. Nice. And as always, there is a problem. I installed my drill in a chuck with a lot of stick out because my chuck is gonna touch this side here. There is no center point or nothing in here in the bottom. So let's hope I can get away with it. Future will tell. Right, still not enough. Let me try to find a solution and I will bring you back. Drilling the hole was in fact no big deal because my drill was a bit too short. I installed it in the chuck, just pinching here, and it left a little bit of score marks, but it worked. Now of course there's a new little problem, but it will be an easy fix. Because this hole is too close to this corner here. The little bolt doesn't want to fit completely in. So I'm gonna give it a touch with my round nose tool here and cut out a little bit more of this profile. And then it will work. And of course, as always, it's more complicated than I thought it would be. I had to change setup a few times because my tool holder touched these clamps here, and then the dovetail was touching the part over here, and then the cut wasn't deep enough. And I suppose I'm the only one who has this kind of little problems. But now I think it's gonna work. Use depth of cut. I have to slow down. This doesn't work. I think I'm gonna switch tools. This radius is really too big for this little shape. The finish is far from perfect, but I think it doesn't matter because here is no finish at all. And my little bolts now fit. Time to put this reinforcement in place. Okay. The idea of using the shaper to finish all these other surfaces here, it's perfectly possible, but I don't think I'm gonna do this. First of all, the setup could be a little bit tricky, yeah. And I would like to try something I never did before. Horizontal milling. All I have to do is take this head off, and then I can install a cutter in this part here. So let's take this thing apart and make something else out of it. I only hope I can lift this part off without breaking my back. My plan of making some lifting device here falls a little bit in pieces because there's not enough room here for whatever kind of crane or something. Right, let's see if I can get it off. I tell you what, I don't think I want to do this 10 times a day. I installed my part on the table, 4 bolts, so nice and rigid. The cutter is in place. I have to be careful that this ring doesn't touch the table, but for the moment it works. I installed the support arm on top here, just to prevent chips from entering my beautiful little machine here. That's all. Right, let's I had to stop cutting because the whole assembly made a terrible sound. And indeed, there is a problem. There's almost a half millimeter of play here in the main shaft, in the horizontal shaft. So there's something wrong with these bearings. To fix it, it was not too complicated. All I had to do is take this part of this support arm and retighten a bit the bearings, give them a little bit more preload, and now it seems to work. All these faces now are finished, except of course this inside, but that's not important. And while my grey toy here is set up in the horizontal position, I think it's easier to drill holes now. You know, it's vertical, I have again setup problems. So let's drill. That's too slow. I think that could work. Let's give it a try. Everything set up, I hope. Let's see if I made here something useful or not. Well, it looks good. Let's take some measurements. To test my brand new angle plate, I used the little pipe I used last time. So I started with an oval, and it's still a little bit oval. For the moment this wall thickness becomes so thin that it becomes a little bit a problem to hold it in place without disturbing this roundness. And it's also a bit complicated to square it up in here. A solution could be, maybe, to make some locating pins for my angle block here. Maybe a future project, because for the moment it's a bit complicated to square it up. Of course, in the other way it's automatically square because of the plate itself. But it could work.